Good morning, students. Let us continue with our moments from supplementary reading, chapter 5, The Happy Prince. Open to your book, page number 34. Yesterday we have seen how the swallow decides to stay with the happy prince. Though now he tells happy prince says, now you must go to Egypt. He says no, because he has removed both the eyes also from the prince. And so now he says, now you cannot see, now you are blind, and therefore I will stay with you. And so he starts telling the stories to this happy prince. But then the prince is telling, if you are staying here, whatever story you are telling is good. But then he is telling, the more marvelous or more wonderful story would be the suffering of men and women. And so he's telling, please go to my city, go over to my city, fly around and see what you see and come and tell me. And so the swallow goes, flies around the city, and he says, yesterday we have seen the rich people, how they are making merry, they are enjoying. At the same time, the poor people, the beggars sitting at the gates begging. There are also small children hungry, they have nothing to eat. They have no place, they are starving. They are also with the cold, they are shivering. They are simply wandering here and there. Now, he comes and tells all this to this happy prince, and the happy prince had the solution for everything. What he is telling, you see, little swallow, I am covered with the fine gold. Now he says, you must take it off leaf by leaf, little by little, one leaf, you must take it out and give to the poor people, and they will be happy. And so the swallow does so. She removes one leaf, little gold, and goes and gives to the people, to the poor people. And then he feels that the children's faces were very happy, rosier. Children's faces grew rosier meaning bright, very happy they looked, and they laughed and they played in the street, and they had what they said, we have now bread to eat, they cried. We'll continue after that, you see. Then the snow came, and after the snow came the frost. The streets looked as if they were made of silver. Everybody went about in furs, and the little boys wore scarlet caps and skated on the ice. You see, in the snow, the snowfall, there was a snow came, there was also frost, and the street looked as if everything was made of silver, everywhere white with snow. And people went with fur. Furs means, the furs clothes, the warm clothes. And the little boys, they wore scarlet caps. Dark red. Scarlet here is a dark red. Remember that. And they skated on the ice. They simply were enjoying merrymaking. And the poor little swallow grew colder and colder. But he would not leave the prince. He loved him too well. He picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when the baker was not looking, and tried to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. You see what happened here to this swallow. The swallow grew colder and colder. It was very cold. But he didn't want to leave the prince, though he knew his friends had been waiting where? In Egypt. But then he loved this prince too much, and so he did not want to leave him. He picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when he was not looking, to keep himself, not to feed himself. He went to the bakery when baker, the one who was baking, one who bakes is known as baker. Okay. So what he did, outside the baker's door, when the baker was not looking, he picked up, he ate. Also he wanted, how did he keep himself warm? By flapping his wings. Okay. But at last he knew that he was going to die. Too cold it is, and so naturally, that's why the migratory birds we see in different season, different birds we find, He had just enough strength to fly up to the prince's shoulder once more. That much only strength he had. Just he climbed, he flew up to the prince's shoulder. Goodbye, dear prince, he murmured. Will you let me kiss your hand? Murmured means speaking slowly, softly telling, goodbye, dear prince. He knew he's going to die. And telling, will you let me kiss your hand? Because he loved him so much now. He was so much in love with this prince, telling, I want to kiss your hand. Prince is speaking, you see. I am glad that you are going to Egypt at last, little swallow, said the prince. You have stayed too long here, but you must kiss me on the lips, for I love you. You see, the prince is telling, now it is too long. The prince doesn't know that swallow is going to die. Telling, I am glad, I am happy that you are going. He thought when he's telling goodbye, telling he is going to Egypt. He's telling, I am glad. Glad means happy that he is going to Egypt. Telling, now you have stayed for too long here and you must go to Egypt. But he's telling, you must kiss me on my lips, not only the hand, because I love you. It is not to Egypt that I am going, said the swallow. I am going to the house of death. Death is the brother of sleep, is he not? You see what the swallow is telling. I am not going to Egypt, but then I am going to the house of death. I am dying. And you see, death is the brother of sleep. That means he will sleep. That's why it is the famous saying you have heard. He is sleeping and his sleep snores, no waking. That means he is going to have a great sleep. It's a death. Death and sleep. Sleep is a brother of death. Are you understanding? Is he not? He is asking. And he kissed the happy prince on the lips and fell down dead at his feet. Just he kissed him and he fell down on the feet of this prince. At that moment, a curious crack sounded inside the statue as if something had broken. The fact is that the leaden heart had snapped right in two. It certainly was a dreadfully hard frost. Because of the snow, because of this extreme ice fall, what has happened? Some crack in the statue. And so that moment, the bird fell down at his feet. Also, there was a crack sound. The sound inside the statue as if something had broken. Actually, it was made out of lead. And the heart has snapped right in two. It has broken into two pieces. The statue has become two because there was a very hard frost. Early the next morning, the mayor was walking in the square below in company with the town councillors. As they passed the column, he looked up at the statue. Dear me, how shabby the happy prince looks, he said. They don't know anything, you see. The mayor, the city mayor, he was just taking a walk on the square with the town councillors. And when they came near the happy prince, statue of this happy prince, they were surprised to see that this happy prince looks so shabby. Shabby here means dirty. But is the statue dirty? No, because outer garment, the gold was removed from it. And that's why it is looking naturally. And after that what? It is only the lid. And so it's telling it is how shabby it looks, how untidy it looks, the prince. How shabby indeed, cried the town councillors, who always agreed with the mayor, and they went up to look at it. They saw from far and then they went close to the statue. The ruby has fallen out of his sword. His eyes are gone and he is golden no longer, said the mayor. In fact, he is little better than a beggar. See, like a beggar, little better than a beggar. There is no golden, you see, gold, no ruby, no gold, no sapphire, nothing is there. Like a beggar, he is standing here. And the town councillors all the time agreeing. You see, little better than a beggar, said town councillor. This is only supporting the mayor. And here is actually a dead bird at his feet. You see, they can see the dead bird at his feet, continued the mayor. We must really issue a proclamation that birds are not to be allowed to die here. Proclamation means, what is the meaning of issue a proclamation? The mayor has to issue means to bring out some rules, proclamation, to proclaim, to set some rules, to bring out some rules that birds are not to be allowed to die here. Understood? They should not die here. You see here they are discussing. The bird you can see in the picture you can see the dead bird here, and the councillor, the mayor, they are discussing that it should not be allowed to die here, and the town clerk made a note of the suggestion. Okay, the suggestion is what? The birds are not allowed to die there. So they pulled down the statue of the happy prince. As he is no longer beautiful, he is no longer useful, said the art professor at the university. Now no longer this statue is beautiful because it is no more useful. So bring it down. Then they melted the statue in a furnace. What a strange thing, said the overseer of the workmen at the foundry. This broken lead heart will not melt in the furnace. We must throw it away. So they threw it on a dust heap where the dead swallow was also lying. You see what happened here? They burned the furnace. Furnace is a fire. Okay? There it is. They melted the statue in a furnace. The statue has to be burnt. They cannot throw just like that. But there's something strange thing, something extraordinary thing happened. The overseer of the workmen at the foundry, those who were burning this workmen, they noticed that the broken lead heart, the heart was made with this lead. It will not melt in the furnace. In this fire, it is not going to melt. It remain as it is, and therefore we must throw it away. And so they threw it on the dust heap where the other dusts, other dirtiness were being thrown, and the dead swallow also was lying there. The last two sentences, you see. Bring me the two most precious things in the city, said God to one of his angels. And the angel brought him the leaden heart and the dead bird. You see, the God said to his angels, gods have always angels, they are the messengers of gods. And so then bring me from the earth two most precious things in the city, two most beautiful things, precious, very valuable. And the angels, what they brought him to God? The leaden heart and the dead bird, which were thrown on the dust heap. You have rightly chosen, said God, for in my garden of paradise this little bird shall sing forever more, and in my city of gold the happy prince shall praise me. You see, God praised these angels for bringing these two most precious things, and you have rightly chosen. Your choice is great, God said. Telling, in my garden of paradise, God has a garden of paradise, something very beautiful. Paradise, very comfortable, very luxurious garden. This little bird shall sing forevermore. Always this bird is going to sing forevermore. That means hereafter. And in my city of gold, the God has a city of gold, is telling, this happy prince shall praise me. Always he will be alive. Though they are dead, they shall be alive forever. The king is, the God is praising the angels because they have selected the right thing, right choice they have made. Clear? Beautiful story. I will be uploading for you also the story, The Happy Prince, and you can watch it. Okay, there are six questions. Just quickly, let us see. First one, why do the courtiers call the prince the happy prince? Is he really happy? What does he see all around him? The answer would be on page number 29. You will find he was a prince when he was alive. Being a prince, he never knew sorrow and suffering. So the courtiers called him the happy prince. But he was not happy in real sense, as his heart could feel the misery of needy people, the people those who were suffering. He saw the miserable conditions of people around him, and therefore he was not happy. What does he see all people around him? He sees the people, suffering people, the suffering, the sorrow, and the miserable conditions of the people around him. Second, why does the happy prince send a ruby for the seamstress? What does the swallow do in the seamstress house? You will find this answer also in page number 29. The seamstress, who is seamstress? One who does the embroidery work on the dresses. Okay, that's the seamstress, lady's tailor. The seamstress was tired due to overwork, too much working. She was so poor that she could not buy oranges for her little sick son. Her son was thirsty. The happy prince saw the poor lady and her son. He felt pity for them, so he sent a ruby for her. The swallow came to the poor woman's house and laid the ruby on the table beside her. The bird fanned the boy's forehead with wings and flew back to the happy prince. What does the swallow do in the seamstress house? He started fanning this sick boy's forehead, and you remember the boy felt so much better. Third, for whom does the prince send the sapphires and why? It was for whom? For the playwright. Remember that. Answer would be the playwright was very poor. He was incapable of buying food and firewood. The prince sent the sapphires for the playwright so that he could finish a play for the director of the theatre in time. The prince sent his second sapphire to a poor match girl. Her matches had fallen into the gutter. She was afraid that her father would beat her for this loss, so she was helped by the prince by sending her the second sapphire. Okay. Why does the swallow see? What does the swallow see when it flies over the city? Just now I was telling you, the swallow saw all categories of people. He found the rich making merry in their beautiful houses and beggars begging sitting at the gate. He also saw a group of wandering children who were poverty stricken. You can write little more on page number 33. On 33 you see the full paragraph. So the swallow flew over the great city. Up to from there, then they wandered out into the rain. Page 33, second last paragraph. Okay. Question number 5. Why did the swallow not leave the prince and go to Egypt? At first, the swallow was willing to go to Egypt just after discharging his duty properly. But when he saw prince's activities of charity and kindness, he got impressed. On the other hand, now the happy prince had become totally blind due to the deeds of charity. In this condition, he could not leave the prince helpless. He left the idea of going to Egypt and decided to serve the prince, wanted to take care of this prince because the prince cannot see. He was so much impressed that prince was so generous, so much taken up for the people of his city, that how they are suffering, and he was there with the gold and sapphires. You see, so he was ready to give everything. For that, this fellow was ready to stay with him. Otherwise, at first he wanted to go to Egypt. Last question. What are the precious things mentioned in the story? Why are they precious? See, the leaden heart of the happy prince and the dead swallow are the two precious things mentioned in the story. They are precious as they did various deeds for the welfare of people and sacrificed their lives for the sake of others. These are the precious things. Of course, you also can write the precious things that are mentioned in this story are the first stanza. You will see on page number 28. You see, there was a thin lips of fine gold, bright sapphires, red ruby. These were the precious jewels. But in the eyes of God, the two precious things were the statue, the leaden heart of this happy prince, and the dead swallow. They were the two precious things mentioned. Clear? Write the answers and learn the lesson. Actually, your supplementary reading you are supposed to do by yourself. However, you read and write the answer and try to understand. Thank you, students, and wish you a very happy Diwali. Enjoy your holidays.